Hello guys, welcome to this tutorial and we're going to learn about JavaScript parameters and arguments. Now using Visual Studio as our code editor, and as you can see it's already open. I have already created a file where we're going to write our code to illustrate how parameters and arguments work. So I've called my function I've called my file params.js, and you can call it whatever you want. Now, let's start by trying to know why do we need parameters? Now, in the previous programs, we've been writing codes or functions that are not asking us to enter anything as users. Rather, the program itself has what it uses to do whatever task it's supposed to do. Now, let's say we want to write a function that calculates area, okay? Or let's say, a function that calculates area of a rectangle, okay? So let's say we want to write a function that calculates area of a rectangle, but we know rectangles don't have same dimensions. So we're going to write a general function that will help the user to pick any numbers that they will give their rectangles, and so long as you give in this function those two numbers, it will calculate for you the area of that rectangle. And we know the formula for area of a rectangle is length times width. So we're going to have a function that will take any two values, which one of them is length, another is width, and then the function will calculate the area of that given rectangle once you feed in those two dimensions. So parameters help us in that area or in that key, not where we want to have inputs from users. So a function can be created which allows user inputs. To allow inputs, a function needs that parameter that I've mentioned, and the parameter is what the function will use to perform its tasks. Now, the parameter can act as a placeholder for the information to be used in the parentheses when the function is called. So in the former function, we were just writing empty parentheses, but now we're going to have parentheses which has some values inside it. And those values that we put inside parentheses are the ones that we call parameters. Now let's illustrate this by that function which I've just explained, a function that finds area of a rectangle. So let's declare our function by the function keyword, and then we can call this function find rectangle area. Find rectangle area, then we put our parentheses there. Now inside our parentheses, that's where we're going to put our parameters. So for you to find area of a rectangle, you need two values, that is the length value and the width value. So let's put the first parameter to be length, comma, space, the second name to be width. Okay, so the first name is our first parameter, the second name is the second parameter. So length is our first parameter and width is our second parameter. So these are the placeholders for whatever values that we'll put inside parentheses later when we will do a function call. Okay, so first of all, let's write our console log. Okay, and then say area of this rectangle. Let's put in a string here, or let it just be direct like that way without creating strings first. So let's put our length, value for length there, space, then star width. Okay, so inside our console we'll have a multiplication, no? Or the product of length times width. Let's call our function here. Of course, we've defined the function, but we need to call it too. So let's write find rectangle area, then let's call it. Now, you're not going to just call it and end there. You want now to put the values of our first rectangle. So let's say our rectangle is having a length of 5, a width of 3. Okay. What is the area of a rectangle that has a length of 5 and a width of 3? Going to have 5 times 3, which gives us 15. Okay, so let's run our code and see whether we're going to have 15 as our answer. Okay, so our code is not yet executing. Let me see what went wrong here. So yeah, it's running. So it had to take some time there to run. So we have our area of a rectangle that being 15. So let's use the same code to find the area of another rectangle. So find rectangle area. Let's give this one now 64 as length and 23 as a width. Okay, then we run the code. Let's give it some time to finish running, and we have our answer there. So the next one has the area of 1470 or 1470. So that's how we use parameters. Now, this name length here and this name width here are our parameters. And then this value 5 and this value 3, the value 64 and value 23 are our arguments. So length acts as our placeholder or the variable, and then 5 is the value. Width is our second placeholder or variable, and the 3 is the value that fits in there. Now you notice the order of the values and the names matters. So we can't say that 3 is our length and 5 is our width. No, the first one to be mentioned in parameters must appear the first one when later filling the values of those parameters as arguments. Okay, so that's how we use functions to help users to use their own inputs and then use them to find the various outputs that they desire using their various inputs.